Should we just run it?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Chips and Chops podcast. I would like to first shout out our sponsor, Stockroom East. Stockroom East is a collaborative workspace here in South Bend. It has 24-hour access, Wi-Fi, conference rooms, a podcast video studio that we're in. It's really an amazing place. So there'll be a link in the description to find them, so check them out. Today we have on the owner of East Race Muscle and a powerlifting personal trainer, Michael Baxter. So Michael Baxter, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing good.
We're chilling, yeah.
Yeah, so my question is, when did you first kind of develop a passion for fitness and then like weightlifting?
So it's been, I've been lifting weights my whole life, from, middle school and football and all the way through high school. I started getting into it quite a bit more. It was just always more of a natural passion of mine. And then once I got out of high school, went into college, it kind of kicked up a notch. It was more of a hobby and a pastime for more than anything. And then as I started to, I guess it was 9 years ago or so, there was a bench press competition.
Yeah.
It was a sanctioned bench press competition. I'd always been kind of a natural bench presser, so I was like, I want to try this. It was a disaster. It was my first actual sanctioned competition, but I fell in love with like the competing aspect of it. And at the time, powerlifting wasn't really that big of a sport.
Yeah.
And so then I really, started to really research the sport more and really get into powerlifting itself. And the Arnold Sports Festival was pretty huge back then. It's not as big now because of COVID and everything else. It's starting to kind of gain traction again. But I started to, me and a group of guys, we would go to different commercial gyms and lift, and it ended up, I ended up getting kicked out of pretty much every commercial gym in town.
Just for being too I don't want to say like obnoxious, but like powder and
like,
all that.
Like chalk, I wouldn't wear my shoes when other people.
Joey doesn't wear shoes,
wear
and
shoes at the gym.
he always gets yelled
at.
at.
If I'm squatting, I'm not gonna wear shoes.
Yeah.
So
and if somebody else was lifting, I was always loud. Like I would get into it and everything else. And so I had a lot of the we're gonna have to ask you to leave talks, And so eventually it got to the point where I was like, I want to create an atmosphere where everyone is accepted and we build each other up. And so it started off in just a little corner of a warehouse of another business that I was a part of. We built our own platform. We actually built our own first bench, and we bought this really, really crappy squat rack from Play It Again Sports.
Okay. Because that stuff's expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. And so that's how we started. It was just 4 of us guys. And then with social media, really that was kind of the push. We would just post, we made a stupid name for ourselves as far as like our group. And then
what's the name?
It was called Team Huff Fitness.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
But like East Race Muscle, like that's a really cool name. So.
Well, and I'll get into how that kind of evolved.
Yeah.
My business partner at the time, Heath, we were kind of like, we had this vision of doing something in downtown and really building up the community. And at the time, Mayor Pete wasn't quite big yet. And so like the South Bend itself, downtown was not really thriving. And in my head, I'd always visualized putting this I call it a sanctuary in downtown South Bend. And I wasn't going to settle for anything less than that. And so we started off with this little 4-man team that we competed together. We competed quite a few times together. Didn't really know what we were doing, but we developed our own programming, and we had a blast. And so we would start posting our stuff on social media, and then all of a sudden, this person would be like, "Hey, man, I want to train with you guys. Is that cool?" Oh, yeah, sure, Then that turned into, 6 or 7 people. Then it turned into, 8 or 9 people. Then we moved to another part of that warehouse where we built some of our own equipment. We made our own squat racks, welded them up and everything, and built more platforms, started collecting more plates, that kind of stuff. We bought our very first deadlift bar because at the time we were just using, gym bars that we could find anywhere. And then that turned into like 15 or so people. And at the time it was like, okay, well, this could be something. What do you want to do? And so we first looked at the Lauber building here in downtown.
That's a good building.
Yeah, or I guess it's up here. I got turned around. But at the time there was nobody in it. It was the old sheet metal factory, and it needed a lot. It needed a lot of a lot of money, a lot of capital in it to get it to what we wanted. And for us, it didn't need to look like it. It's beautiful now. I mean, in hindsight, I'm glad, that
they took it off.
That Frank got it, instead of us, because it's an absolutely beautiful building. They did a great job to it. Ours would have looked like a warehouse type gym. You know what I mean? That's what it would have been. But at the time, that's how the name kind of evolved. It's like, all right, we're right here. What is a namesake or something that you can identify with South Bend is the East Race. Like it runs right through the heart of South Bend, and it's something that people identify South Bend with. It's one of a kind. There's no other waterway like ours in the United States. So
yeah,
that's how the name kind of evolved. And then at that point, it didn't matter like where we were located, if we were on the East Race or not. I wanted that to be our identification. And so that building fell through. We looked at where Iron Hand or the Armory is. And they showed that building to two people. And obviously the group that has it now was the other group. And it was the same thing. You look at that place now, they did a fantastic job with it. So we had our sights set way higher than what we should have at the time. So we decided to pull back a little bit, and our first location was we took a little small spot. It was a little less than 3,000 square feet in the old South Bend Chocolate Factory. Ooh. So for me, I was like, this is kind of cool too, because this is a big part of the history of South Bend. We're in one of the first like major businesses that are still around here in South Bend. And so we piled, what little equipment we had in there at the time and collected our money together. We, bought a few machines here and there and really tried to fill this place up with as much stuff as we could and hope that people came.
Yeah.
And, we opened up, and I think we had at the time maybe 20 paying members. And, that's a big maybe. And, a couple would come and go here and there. People would come visit us, but they'd see it and it's like, I don't know, this place is kind of dirty. It's dark, it's loud music, and it wasn't for everyone, but the atmosphere that we provided for it, we just built each other up, and it was just a place to go to kind of escape, your everyday grind, right?
Yeah. And normal gyms. I mean, normal gyms, you kind of, like, they want to create the environment of everyone's building each other up, but really it's deep down. It's everyone's kind of doing their own thing.
It is, yeah.
A little communication, like, hey, how are you doing? And what are you doing today? And
so yours is more of a community. That's what makes you different.
That is exactly what I wanted to create, was a community.
Yep.
And I feel like that's something that over the past 6 years I've accomplished, and we're still growing. That first little space, it was a different type of community at the time, and we've evolved into much more than just an isolated family to we are a community within a community. And over that time, I don't know if you guys have seen our space now.
I thought that was your original space. I didn't know you had another space before that.
So back at 3,300 at the South Bend Chocolate Factory, we started to grow exponentially. So, we were kind of landlocked in that little space.
Yeah.
So I'd rent the building next to us. We'd blow through that wall. And then we rented the space next to that, and we blew through that wall. And then during COVID, it was a really tough time, because one of the biggest things that they really focused on was shutting down the fitness industry.
Yeah.
That was one of the main targets. And so what I did was I filed a lawsuit against the state of Indiana on behalf of every gym in the state.
Oh, wow.
And before it even came to effect, it crossed the governor's desk. I'd gotten an email telling me that they wanted me to be, or asking me to be, a part of a task force to reopen fitness facilities in the state.
Like, this was from who? The governor's office?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so it was within, I think, a week of my filing that all of the gyms were able to open again with certain precautions and stuff like that. We were able to open back up. And it was funny because they'd sent that back to me and they said, we're gonna go ahead and do this with the exception of, I think it was Lake and Marion County. And I was like, no. I said every gym in the state of Indiana. That's so cool. My probable cause was just the effect of like mental health of not being able to just exercise. It doesn't even have to be powerlift, like to go to the gym and do something that is healthy for you. I mean, during COVID, it was one of those things where they told you need to stop moving, where in actuality, as we continue to build ourselves up, our body grows stronger and we're able to fight off these types of things, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of a weird thing. It was a weird thing for them to tell us to not do our natural progression to get better.
Yeah, I remember. So, like, you know, me and Dave, we've been friends for 2 years, right? So since we're sophomores in high school. And something that really definitely, like, brought us pretty close is around January, we started going to the same gym together, right? Stay Fit 24. I don't know if you know where that is.
Yeah. Well, they're closed now.
Yeah.
They went bankrupt.
But, like, we would go every single day, and it was during the winter, you know. It wasn't, like, the best time, I guess, for me.
He switched to my gym because originally he went to Beacon.
Yeah.
But they had so many COVID precautions. It's hard to work out when you have to like wear masks and all that stuff. So we transferred over to mine. Yeah. That didn't have anything.
So like we would go every single day, like almost at the same time. You know, we wouldn't do the same workout or anything. But I was thinking like it was kind of like it was a place for me to, you know, go. I could look forward to something and kind of just be happy for 2 hours, you know. Yeah. So I think that's like what's so amazing about the gym, and especially during COVID, you know, you would want a place where you can kind of detach yourself from kind of like the horrors of the world at the moment, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, that's what I used it for. You know, it's one of my powerlifting in general, but just lifting weights or just, you know, having your hands around a bar is something that has not only saved my life, but it's my escape from, you know, the grind of life. Like there's everything that we, you know, are down and out and you don't know what else to do. Honestly, putting a bar in my hands is how I get away from that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And being around other people that struggle with the same things, it gives us a chance. It's not a place for therapy. It's a place for us all to go and escape the same things, doing the same thing together. And at the time, you know, nothing else matters. We're building each other up and we're throwing around stupid heavy weight.
Yeah.
And listening to the music that we like to listen to or don't even like to listen to, you know.
It just gets you going.
You know what I mean? And just being around like-minded people that need that escape. And instead of doing something terrible like drugs or, you know, going out and getting, you know, trashed or whatever, this is something that is building a better version of yourself at the same time. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's definitely my favorite part of like going to a gym is you're in a place where everyone there is just there to better themselves, you know?
Because I mean, you could go to therapy and like talk about your problems. Like that's another way to do it. But you can also just like be around the people with the same problems instead of talking to someone that essentially doesn't have problems.
Yeah, but like both.
I didn't say therapy was bad.
Not a
like,
replacement or
it's good. It's good to talk about your problems, but you also need to. You can't just keep looking back at the past and things that happened. You also got to move forward and build yourself back up, right?
And the sport of powerlifting is unique because it's still a very baby sport. It hasn't quite broken through the, I guess like the mainstream sport type wall. Yeah. And so it's very much a pay-to-play sport. So you are once you compete, you're a professional athlete. You're competing with you could be on the platform with some of the best in the world, and it's costing you money, right? But the majority of people that come through those doors outside of like TD, I mean, who's ranked, you know, top 10 in the world.
Yeah. No, I reached out to him too. I remember I looked at his Instagram yesterday, and he was doing a bench 4 plates on each side, so 4 or 5. And
yeah,
like, it was like. It just looked like it was the bar. Like it was
well, I don't know if you guys know this, but he holds the all-time world record for raw bench in a full power meet. Like he's
what was it?
722.
Oh my gosh!
And that's
that is so
biggest bench press in a full power meet in history.
That's 4 times like what the most I've benched is like 185. So that's 4 times the amount. That is just incredible.
Yeah, it was at the showdown meet in it was Kansas City, Missouri.
He's local here in South Bend.
Yeah, I handed off the bench press to him.
That's wild. That like.
Oh, you were like his spot?
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool experience.
So I mean, that to have somebody like that. I mean, you have a facility that is garnering to athletes like that. I mean, and he's on a comeback trail right now to try to take the highest total of all time. You know, to take the highest raw total of.
That'd be like 2,000 or something, right?
No, it's over 2,600.
Oh wow. Gosh.
So
that's mind blowing, and the fact that that's like something that isn't like you said, it's kind of still a baby sport. Like I mean, we're in South Bend. I would expect that to be in the newspaper or something, you know?
Yeah, well, and so that's kind of how the East Race Muscles brand and my brand in general blew up, because during COVID, like I told you, the sport saved my life, and that's a literal thing. It literally saved my life at one point. So my goal now has become, because the gym itself, it's evolved into exactly what I want. So my next step is to help bring this sport to the forefront. So I don't know how much research you guys did, but I put powerlifting on ESPN for the first time in history during COVID.
I didn't know that. That's impressive.
So there was no made for TV sports at the time, and we had this idea and we brought it up and we brought it to Disney and ESPN, and they're like, you know, we don't know much about this, but I think we'll give it a run. And so I brought in you know, some of the best bench pressers in the entire world to my gym, to East Race Muscle, and we put it on not a live stream, not ESPN3. It was on ESPN Live, a 90-minute segment of the best bench pressers in the world competing, with Julius Maddox going for the all-time world record, or he was trying to bench press 800 at the time.
Oh wow!
So you know, at that time,
which he didn't get.
Well, no, it was an absolute mess. So. It was during COVID. There was nobody was supposed to be there. We had almost 300 people that like packed into the room
because you broadcasted it.
It was live, and so like
so people saw that it was at East Race Muscles. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So ESPN had a hard time like making sure that, you know, we had a huge production issue with trying to make sure that no one was like, you couldn't see them in the video like during the live feed, and unlike football or basketball or baseball, the emotions of an individual player, unless they're mic'd up and they show it because they can edit those things out, you're not hearing that emotion out on the field, right? This is one human being. So you're getting somebody that comes up on the platform, they miss a lift that they've been training for. They're on ESPN, powerlifting, you know, its debut on ESPN for the first time in history, and you're part of that. And you yell out the F word because you missed a lift. You know what I mean? And so then they would get upset at something like that. Well, then,
that's hard to.
We had you have judges who have to check the weight that's on the bar before they allow the athlete to come to the platform. 800 pounds was supposed to be loaded on the bar, and there was an extra 55 pounds loaded on one side.
That's
on just one side.
On just one side.
But keep in mind, Dave.
When he goes to lift that though, is it so heavy that he can't even notice that?
It could tear your labrum or something.
So kilo plates, they're 55 pounds, and they're thinner than a normal pound plate. And they are fitted so close together that once you have that many plates, now it should not have happened. Like the head judge that approved the weight to go should not have said, you know, platform ready, and he did. And so as Julius unracked it, you know, the one side lagged quite a bit, and he realized something is wrong. The spotters took it. They did a great job. The spotters took it off. And, you know,
you can't go for it again.
No.
Your mindset's like, oh my, I failed. And
that was his one and done. That was his one shot. And the crazy thing, I had ESPN in my ear, and they're like, okay, is he going to go again? And I was like, no, that's not how this works. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I was like, the man had a misloaded 800-pound bench over his face, and that's one, like you get one shot at that.
Yeah.
And so then they were like, well, what do we do now? And I was like, well, we have like 30 minutes left. And I was like, well, we can interview the athletes. I mean, it was a great show. TD was part of that as well.
That's awesome.
And they're like, no, we're done. We're not cut the feed and everything. And so it was a double-edged sword. I was very proud of what we were able to do. And then, you know, I had somebody tell me, they're like, you have to remember the first time the UFC was on Fox, the first time they brought it onto primetime, it was an absolute disaster. Everybody thought that there was no way that the UFC would ever make it again on primetime TV. And you look at it now, you know what I mean?
Huge.
And so
that's kind of your model.
Yeah. So in my mind, like the way I brought to peace to it, I guess, is that I did my job to help like bring powerlifting to the forefront, like bring it, so people could see what we're doing. And I've had multiple offers to do something else similar to what we did. And honestly, that just exploded. I mean, in good ways and bad ways, my popularity rose big time in the sport. And I like my role. Like I compete myself. I just competed for the first time in 4 years about a month ago.
That's so cool. Where?
In St. Charles, Missouri. It was my first comeback meet. I hadn't competed in 4 years. I'm old, man. So
how old are you?
I'm 38.
Oh, that's not that
old.
So,
and just now after doing this I've competed. If I looked at my open powerlifting, I like 15, 16 times, and and even in some federations that aren't even recorded on open powerlifting. And this was my best meet I've ever had. And now I'm going for doing something that I never thought I'd ever be a part of this sport on a high level. In April, I'll be attempting the Submasters 198 all-time world record deadlift.
how many pounds?
777 at 198 at 198 pound body weight. And
four
so
times your body weight, right?
yeah. And so
Good math.
That is
it's
insane.
This is like now I'm having the most fun I've ever had because it's such a struggle those years. Most people, just like you guys said, you come to the location now, they're like, man, I want to do this someday. And I was like, well, this isn't what we started with.
Yeah, you started with just your boy, the Huff Squad or whatever.
And that was what I started with. And even then, like at 3,300, it was a struggle to make rent and to get through COVID and all these other things that happened. And now I'm in the Studebaker plant with 15,000 square feet with state-of-the-art equipment. It's from, front to back. I'm a meet director now. We're throwing, 5 to 6 meets a year with some of the best athletes in the world that are coming to our facility, coming to South Bend. And so this community thing that I was talking about has now grown exponentially to where like the city of South Bend is now sponsoring my meet in December.
That's perfect. Really.
Because if you think about it in like, I guess in more of a global community aspect, I'm bringing all these athletes in town. They have to stay in hotels. They have to eat at restaurants. There's reason for them to be here, right?
Yeah. Great economical growth.
And so if you guys aren't doing anything, December 10th and 11th,
we'll have to pop out.
You'll have to come out because
it's just like a regular sports thing. You just go and watch.
Oh yeah, you come in and you get a ticket. You come in and watch it. It's lifting starts at 9. The drug tested day is on Saturday. The non-tested day is on Sunday. There's rumored
Wait. So there's a non-drug tested day.
Yeah.
So like people that are on like.
Yeah.
No, they choose not to be drug tested.
Oh, okay.
It could go either way.
Right.
I mean, like in the type of sport, like that's the same with bodybuilding. Like a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
If you're on the top, like you're gonna be.
But this will
nothing
be
against that or anything.
This will be the largest powerlifting meet in the state of Indiana, and it'll be the largest one It'll be the largest one in 2022 in the 4-state area. It'll be here in South Bend, East Race Muscle.
That is
incredible. That's something that should just like it should be huge. It should be everywhere. Like everyone should know, and it's just
that should be like. Notre Dame Stadium, on the field. That could be so awesome or something like that.
So the first one I'd ever thrown was a year ago from this East Race Muscle Open 2 was the first one I'd ever done. And at the time, it was the third largest sporting event outside of Notre Dame and the South Bend Cubs. And this one will blow that one out of the water.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to accomplish. And, the residual effect of that is East Race Muscle's brand is growing. I mean, I've had people send me pictures of seeing someone in LAX, Los Angeles airport with an East Race Muscle shirt on. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Do you want to have it where you have multiple gyms around the world, or you have your environment
right
here?
here.
You're just trying to
So
build up.
why are you so like
passionate about that?
Passionate about staying in South Bend? Were you born here?
I actually wasn't. I didn't move here until I was in 7th grade. It's just passion for me is something that kind of exudes once I grab hold of something. That's like I put everything I can into it.
Yeah. That's
and
like me for podcasting.
When I came here, this city was dying. I mean, it literally was. It made national news as one of the the dyingest cities in the country.
Yeah.
And for me, it's something that I'm like. This is where I live. You know, I don't know if I can stand idly by and see stuff like that, you know, like happen in the community that I live in. And what most people do is they're like, well, then I'm going to get out of this hellhole. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave. That's
what a lot of mindset of people our age is once you graduate high school, it's I can get out of South Bend, and it's
and then, like I said, we got this young guy, you know, Mayor Pete, that came in and really jump started at the time. I mean, my numbers will probably be off, but I know the downtown like business occupation level or occupancy in downtown was like at like 18 or 19%. By the time he decided to run for president, it was like at 89%.
Wow. And there's still like a lot of open spaces. He did do a lot.
He did do a lot to South Bend.
And what I saw though after he left was just stagnant. Like it stopped then. Like it's like, okay, one person cannot be responsible for the growth of this community. That's just not how it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see these larger cities that have turned into just amazing metropolitan cities, like Austin, Texas is one of them. Even Grand Rapids, Michigan has grown.
Grand Rapids has
has grown so much. And what's happened is these places aren't growing because of one person. They're growing because of small business owners that have come together to help build the city together.
Yeah.
And I think within downtown, that's starting to happen. The problem is it needs to start to trickle outside downtown into our, you know, suburbs and communities.
For sure.
Because those seem to kind of get the back end of the deal, the raw end of the deal. And I mean, you guys know this as well too. Being Adams students, it's the school systems are struggling. Yeah. I mean, it's not a secret.
Like, 2 of the South Bend schools are at like 50% of like the amount of people that they can hold.
Yeah,
so it's like there's such a big like division between Adams and other schools in terms of like
Adams is close to the 2,000 mark, and everyone else is around like
800
to 1,000. And
it's a problem. It's a problem, and it's kind of scary too, because really I haven't heard of a good solution other than let's close the other schools. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I want it just to become like one big school, like a Penn. I think that could be so much fun.
Well, and
I don't know how plausible that is. You know, that's a lot more space and everything.
Well, that could be a plausible reset. So, like, you know, we decide to close these schools and make one school, then you can grow into another school. You know, it's having. I think at one point we had South Bend had 6 high schools at one point.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, because there's that one downtown.
Yeah, we're not that large of a city to have 6. You know, to have 6 high schools to try to fill. Especially with open enrollment at all these other larger schools. You know what I mean? And so it's one of those things. It's like a ground level thing that I feel like it shouldn't be on the shoulders of just one person, like a mayor or you know, this person or that person. It needs to be a community thing. And I think we're pretty close minded to that still. Just because we at one point we had one of the better leaders in this country to lead our city, and so everybody's like, oh, we don't have to do anything. We have Mayor Pete.
Now he's kind of out of the picture, right?
Yeah, and it's like that's not how it works. That's somebody that comes in and helps ignite that spark for the rest of us to do our part. And I don't think we're there yet. And I mean, I don't think I'm that guy.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that I can be a part of a much larger group of the same like-minded people.
Yeah.
And I think that's what keeps me here. You know, I don't take money from the gym. That's not how I get paid. We talked about, you said I make my livelihood off of this. A few years ago, I quit my normal job and did this full time, but I actually coach.
Wait, so you make all your money off coaching then?
Yeah. Yep.
Is it like online coaching or in person? Because I see all over social media. There's people like all over TikTok.
Yeah. So most of my coaching is remote. I have a handful of athletes that I coach here on site at East Race Muscle, but most of my athletes are from all over the country. I even have a couple athletes.
You take no money from the gym?
No.
That's so cool.
Not at all. It all goes
just
back
reinvest
into the
it
gym.
then?
Yep.
That's so cool.
When did you like? Because it's a lot of people. I mean, like. David and I are kind of like chasing a dream of doing something like this, starting our own thing. When did you realize, like, I've made it?
You said you had, what was your other job that you had? I'm guessing you had that other job when it was just you 4 and maybe when you were in South Bend Chocolate Cafe?
Yeah, I was part of a group of guys that we started kind of, they started a business and we turned it into a franchise and it made a decent amount of money. It was in the RV industry.
Okay.
And when I knew...
Because I know, in Elkhart, the RV industry is.
Yeah, that's where the RV industry is mostly in like the Elkhart Goshen area and stuff like that. And so, but it was just a 9 to 5 making money, and there was really I got up, I had to do this, until it was 5 o'clock, and I stared at the clock until it was 5 o'clock to make sure, and then I left, with no source of fulfillment from that, And so to answer your question, I have not woke up yet and said, "Hey, I made it," because that if you do that, if you become content, then you're gonna fail. But B, there's no given time to just be like, you know what, I'm ready to chase my dream. I'm ready to go all in on this. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
Because if you wait for a moment to happen, that moment's not going to come. If you wait for a dollar amount, if you wait for a sign, or if you wait for some sort of progress on a linear page that says, okay, I got to get to this point first, then here, and then I'll quit my job and I'll start my own business. That's not how it works. It's like you wake up and you say, I'm not happy. I would rather be doing this. I'm going to do this.
So life is like, a lot of people are so set on like goals that they have, and goals are good. But I feel like once you get so centered and you get that goal, it's like you have to set another one, and some people just stay at they made it, and it's glad to see you're hoping to keep evolving.
It's like your passion project. That's what this is. Right?
And now, like I said, I'm 38. I went through life in a 9 to 5 until I was, I decided to go all in on East Race Muscle almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years in February.
Wow.
And
you scaled so fast.
And now, like, there's no schedule. There's no like, I have to do this. My parents did this, so I got to do it this way. Every day I wake up is I have something different. I woke up today and I have a podcast with you guys. We got a big gang lifting session after I leave here, and we're gonna squat some big weight and stuff like that. And I get to do that. I get to work with some athletes, and then I get to go watch my son's basketball practice. Like that's
a W day.
You know what I mean?
I like the mentality of like a new day, a new adventure.
It is. This is a book. Like you have your own book, and it's a journey, and you determine what each chapter says. And if you're going to go punch a clock every morning at 9 o'clock and do the same routine and be unhappy and do that because you were supposed to do that, because you have to fill your retirement, because you have to have a certain amount of money, you have to have a certain house, you have to have a certain car, you're not going to be fulfilled. That's not how you fulfill your life. And the problem is that's the majority. If you guys decide that you want to do this and make a living doing this, do it, because you are not the majority. Happiness is not the majority. And people will say that they're happy doing that 9 to 5. They're not.
Yeah, no.
Because that's not what as a kid, you don't, when they ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a Major League Baseball player. I want to be an NFL player, whatever, this and that. Those are real sights as a kid. We're supposed to be childlike. That's how we're supposed to be, is to live through fantasies, right? This is my fantasy. This is my dream.
Yeah.
I get to lift weights throughout the day with a bunch of people that I absolutely love being around. You know what I mean? I get to travel all over the country. I've seen so many cool places going to meets.
Yeah.
Until I got out of high school and college, I'd never been outside the surrounding states.
Where'd you go to college?
IU, Bloomington.
IU? Okay. Studied in?
I was an English major and was going to be an English teacher, and that never happened.
Wow.
And now you're gonna.
That's like a complete. That's like
deadlift over 700 pounds.
You went from teaching. What we're gonna do? Middle schoolers or?
It was secondary ed, yeah. So middle and high school.
Middle schoolers English, and now you're throwing 700 plates on the floor.
Yeah. 700 pounds.
Or 7, yeah.
Dude, if I could do 700 plates, man,
oh my God.
I'd probably have superpowers then at that point.
What's like the all-time record for deadlift? Is it like 1,000?
It was just set by Dan Griggs at I think it was the American Pro. It was 1,074 raw.
I think I saw that video.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of
They come up in my feed, like powerlifting.
It's just
stuff
TikTok, like that's where we. I mean, that's where we saw that.
We see a lot of random
but that is just
gym stuff on TikTok.
Well, and that's kind of how the gym. So before, we had a lot of people. Obviously, tons of people. If you want to compete, my facility is the only facility you can go that has the equipment able to train to compete, right? And we have a lot of people that will compete in Olympic lifting, strongman, powerlifting, we have a lot of high-end athletes. When the Cleveland Indians play the Cubs, they come in town. They only train at East Race Muscle. When other ACC schools come and play Notre Dame, they train at Clemson trains at East Race Muscle. Miami trains at East Race Muscle. They don't train on campus.
So Clemson's coming in this week. Are they hitting up your gym?
Not the football team. It's usually like track and field or
they're in for a meet or something.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's the place that you go if you want to train as a high a highly skilled athlete. But now in this realm of TikTok and Instagram, there's all these guys that just deadlift or deadlift specialists and stuff like that, and we have quite a few of those guys too.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's no other place in town that has a kabuki deadlift bar, or that's where
I don't even know what a kabuki deadlift bar is.
It's what most of these all-time world records are being pulled on. It's a gnarly deadlift bar.
How much do they cost?
It's about an $800 bar.
Yeah, that's so much.
What's I mean, I'm kind of I don't really know anything, but what's just the difference between the different types of bars? Like, how is one better than the other?
Well, a deadlift bar is significantly longer than any other gym bar. It's significantly thinner in diameter, so it has more whip and able to pull more slack off the ground before the weight actually cracks the floor.
Yeah, that's my problem with deadlift. I can't deadlift because I struggle with, I've tried grips, but I don't have a thumb. So I can't get around.
Yeah.
So I can't go past 225 on deadlift. So.
Well, double overhand is not conducive for deadlifting anyways.
I do underhand. I do
There you
the
go.
over under. Yeah, it's either over under or you do hook grip where you trap your thumb on the bar.
Oh.
So most guys that pull sumo, that's what they do is they pull hook grip.
Oh. Okay.
But yeah, 1074. That's the all time. That wasn't recently. It was a few months ago. So.
Huh. Yeah.
That's no straps. Anything.
What do you think keeps you motivated to do all this? Is it just your love for the gym, or is there
it's wild because
your family or something that keeps you motivated? Or
I tell people all the time, if no one walked through those doors, I would still be there, which is very much the truth.
walk through what doors?
East Race Muscle.
Oh
Yeah.
If no one walked through those doors, you would still find me there, right? But the reason that motivates me to keep doing this is because of the people that do. They're the lives. I know every member. We have almost 400 paying members now that come into East Race Muscle, and I know every single one of them. And most of them have a story. Some of them don't. Some of them, we have a ton of Notre Dame students that come and they're gone after the semester's over, and they come back in the summertime, and then they're gone 2 years later. We have a ton of those. People that just come in, move in town and then move out, and you don't see them, or they just keep their headphones in, don't talk to you. But I make an effort to get to know every single person that comes into that facility, because everybody has a story and why they're choosing my facility over Charter Fitness or Beacon or
That's where I go.
And when you learn about these people, we all have something in common, and it's just we're all kind of social rejects that like to take life out on the bar, on the iron. You know what I mean? Everything escapes when you wrap your hands around that bar, and
you never leave the gym sad.
No, you don't.
You walk in sad. You might walk in depressed, and it's just you leave happy. It's
and the thing that I'm learning too, which is it's so much cooler, especially with this location, because I purchased way more equipment to fill this place once we left our last location, is we're getting so many people that don't really care. A lot of people are intimidated when they come into a place like that.
I would be, yeah.
But you don't have to be. That's the thing. Once you meet the people, you come in and you see these people, you're like, holy cow, everyone here treats me like they're my best friend already, and I can't bench press 120 pounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there are people that walk in that door that have never lifted more than a bar, because we do personal training and stuff like that too. And there's in all walks of life. We have a guy that competes at 72 years old that trains our facility.
that's so cool. Wow.
Yeah, Jim's 72 years old and he competes probably 3 times a year.
Because gym is all weight class, right? Age doesn't matter.
No,
Is there age groups?
There are age groups.
There are age groups.
That's what's crazy. I have a kid that's been with me. I don't know if you guys know who he is, Sam Bishop.
I recognize the name.
He started with me when he was 16. He just turned 20 in September, and we've put, when he started with me as an athlete, he squatted, I think, 375, which at the time I was
That's
pretty.
that is
good
really
squat.
good.
I mean, that's insane.
And when he was 17, we set our first all-time world record at 181 pounds. He squatted 589 at 181 pounds, and then 661 at 18, and then we went for 6. His third all-time world record was 683 this last summer.
So he has a world record?
He held the teen 1 and the teen 2 all-time world record squat. Yeah.
So South Bend,
wow.
Like we've had athletes on there, and we talk about how South Bend produces like, you know, D1. You know, we have three or four NBA players. You know, but it seems like, you know, weightlifting, it's kind of an underground thing, but South Bend produces some of the best, right?
Yeah. I mean, you think about like that. TD is one of the top 10 athletes still. He hasn't even competed in forever because he's had 2 surgeries. He's, you know, been rehabbing.
Yeah.
Sam has set 2 teen all-time world records. We have a 148 pounder who's the same age as me. He's 148 pounds and just attempted the all-time world record squat at 644 at 148 pounds.
So
that's at our facility.
So everyone at your facility just wants those world records.
Not at all.
I mean, not like everyone, but like it's a world record. Like,
but
a lot of people there have them.
Where else are you gonna go? Where else are you gonna go to be around like-minded people like that? You know what I mean?
I can't think of any other like.
Nowhere local or like, honestly, regionally probably.
We have a 132-pound female, drug-free 132-pound female that has over 1,000-pound total.
That's so impressive.
Yeah, she just pulled 413 the other day. Deadlifted 413 at 132 pounds. Just competing in Los Angeles in December.
It's wow. Like I'm kind of like blown away by like that's just like it's kind of like incredible. Like I you know.
But
and it's so cool to see that you know like all this stuff about your members.
Yeah, you have 400 people and you know like 400 names. Like it's unreal.
And if you walked in, you go up to somebody and say, "Hey, do you know the owner?" They'll tell you, "Yeah." There are some people that I know really well. There's some people that are like, "Yeah, the first day I came here, he came up to me and said, 'Hey, how's it going? I'm Michael.' You know, this and that." I make sure that I know who every single person is because that's the reason why I built this place. That's my house. That's my home.
You built it for people to be able to connect and have that community to really build themselves. And I feel like that's a hard thing for a lot of people. Is a lot of people think like they're gonna get judged and stuff at the gym, but deep down, like they were just like you when they first stepped in. They were like, they might have had that stigma, but it's not really a stigma. But they walked in and was like, yeah, I'm. I could tell you stories all day of how this place, this building has, East Race Muscle has saved lives. Yeah, I mean, there's a girl that you guys go to school with, Olivia. I know. Yeah, I know Olivia. She went to grade school with me.
She would never have walked into a place like that when I first met her. She had a hard time talking to people, not very social, this and that. She competed. She's competing in December in this December meet.
I've seen it on her Instagram.
Yeah, she this will be her second competition.
That is so cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, this is somebody that doesn't play high school sports or anything like that and is competing with other professional athletes on the same platform. That meet with 120 lifters, the 2-day meet in December, she's competing in that.
That's so cool. Oh, like the one at your place?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and her coach is that 132-pound girl that just...
You were the coach. You're not the coach?
Not hers, no.
That's incredible. What goes into like being a coach? Like, what, like, you know, you write
programs,
but like, what is the?
Are you doing diets too, or?
It takes a village. There are a lot of things that I have no interest in doing, and nutrition is one of them.
Yeah.
So I am definitely one of those fat powerlifters that eat like a pizza and stuff like that, and a bunch of donuts before I lift. That's my nutrition. So when someone comes to me and says, you know, I want to get stronger, and I also want you to help me with my nutrition, I'm like, I'll help you get stronger. I'm going to show you so-and-so over here that's going to help you, you know, with your nutrition. So, I mean, it's really focusing on what your passion is. Once you start doing things that's why I don't like, I would never be a personal trainer in a commercial gym because I have no interest in that. Like, I have no interest. My goal is to help break you down and build you back up. So when you look in the mirror, you're like, I'm better than that person looking back at me. And it's more of a, you know, I want to make you stronger. But it's a relationship between me and an athlete that I want to make them feel like they're a better version of themselves than when they met me.
Yeah, no, that's such a big thing for him and I is like looking back in like memories or something on your phone, and it's like, wow, that's really what I was doing a year ago. That like, I want to look down at my old self and be like, wow, like I really wasn't doing much, and now it's just like.
And you could have stayed in that state. You could have. That's the easy part. You know what I mean?
It's comforting.
And then and you guys made a decision to not stay in that position, and you know.
I look at it whereas like even like going into high school, my social anxiety was at an all-time high, you know. And
you should have seen this guy freshman year.
Yeah, I
Well,
was
we'll have to show you pictures.
like,
but-
you know, I was like probably 6. I was still probably 6, but I was like 260. I didn't talk to anyone. I remember going in the first day of high school. I probably didn't talk to a single person. You know, I was just so shy. And then fast forward, you know, now senior year, I don't know. I go into a classroom, I can talk to everyone there, and I love it. And I think, you know, putting yourself on the internet is like the prime example of putting yourself out there. So it's kinda
for sure.
Like looking back, it's like I'm not the same person I was a year ago, and that's like the most beautiful thing ever. And a year from now, I'm probably gonna look back and be like, oh, I've grown so much. I've really put myself out there even more. So
I love
what,
it.
What do you think the line is to knowing like you're doing too much? Do you think there is that line? Because there is like a big thing that it's like, I want to keep doing more because I want to keep growing. But how do you find that line on where
There's
like I can't
there isn't one. If you
don't
want
think
to
so?
if you want to keep going, then you keep going.
No, because like there also is like the time thing that other stuff might lag behind or.
So I'm 38 years old. In powerlifting, I've torn hamstrings. I've had surgeries on both shoulders. I broke my back. I broke my back with 600 pounds on my back. I passed out and it collapsed on my spine. Broke my L5. I've torn.
Wait, you passed out and that's why your back broke?
Yeah, the weight just I no longer was conscious. The weight collapsed on my back and I broke my L5. I had to start. I had to start deadlifting with the bar from the beginning and pulling. This last competition last month, I pulled 716. You know what I mean?
And when did you say you were going for 777?
In April.
April. Okay.
you're not competing
Oh, you
on
should.
the December 10th. You're just putting it all.
No. There's no way. I have like 8 of my own athletes competing in that meet. Plus, I'm the director.
Yeah, okay. So you're putting it all together.
Yeah. I'm telling you though, like I was told that I had to have a fusion, that I'd never spinal load again. And at this age, that, you know, I'd never have full rotation on my neck. You won't be able to deadlift again. So I told them I wasn't going to do the surgery as a broken back. I did not do the surgery.
That's a king move.
I rehabbed myself and I'm deadlifting more than I ever have in my entire life now.
You feel good, right? Like
That was less than a year and a half ago.
Like you don't have like back pain?
Of course
I mean you have natural back pain that from like a sore day, but like
no,
it's not like you wake up and you're like, man, like, I just can't move.
A broken pedicle in my L5 never heals because you have to have it fused. So there's a bunch of nerve endings in there, and there are months where it's hard for me to get up out of bed.
Yeah.
And I just have to learn my own body and how I can deal with that to keep doing what I'm doing. Would most people do that? No, they wouldn't. And that's what's hard too at our level when we do this kind of stuff, because you'll go to a doctor and a doctor's what they'll tell you, because they don't know what we're doing on a day-to-day basis and how we're training. They'll say stop training. And that's like telling a car to stop driving. You know what I mean? You
telling LeBron James he can't hoop anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no, that's not going to happen. Like,
And
that's who I am.
What's wild is the majority of people that have come into this place, especially ones that I've coached, never had the intention of competing, ever. Never in their wildest minds did they think they'd step on a platform and attempt 9 submaximal lifts with 3 judges telling them if it was good or not and ranking them in all-time world rankings, right? And that's what they're doing. And it has nothing to do with them ever. 99.9% of the people that walk through the doors of East Race Muscle will never be ranked in the top 10. 99.9. There's only one. There's only one that walks through. All those world records I told you, they're still not ranked, in the top 10 in the world.
Wow.
And so you ask yourself, then why are they doing it? It's the same thing that I've been saying over and over since we started this podcast, is to be a better version of themselves. Yeah. They want to keep beating themselves, the old version of themselves. And, this progression, I pulled 700 pounds 3 years ago. I didn't pull it again until this last year. I mean, that sounds psychotic, like why in the world would you keep doing this? You know what I mean? And at that time I was 220 pounds. This time my weight when I competed a month ago was 195, And so it's one of those things where it's like, we have this maniacal just switch in our head that tells us that we can keep doing this. We can keep doing this because we have to, you know what I mean? This is our savior. This is our therapy. We talked about it. This is our therapy. But you guys need to come see the place. Just come in.
No, I want to come for that December 10th.
No, come in someday, like after a podcast, and come in. I'll meet you guys there and
you
come
will?
in. Yeah,
right,
for sure.
All right.
And we're a 24/7 facility. So I mean, once you become a member, you can come whenever you want.
Yeah.
And it's just like any gym. There's slow times and stuff. I don't train at night when it's busy. I train.
Oh, it's busy at night.
Oh yeah.
Like what time? Like
I'm more of a. I go at normally like 8 or 9
Oh
p.m.
no, it's not busy at all. Then.
Oh, you're talking
like
you're talking
I'm talking
like 11 p.m.
like
1
4
a.m.?
to like 4 to like 7.
Yeah,
Oh
that's kind
no,
of what all
that's
the gyms
awful
are,
time.
you know,
Yeah,
like-
that's just an
Yeah, like
all around natural or awful time to
Yeah,
go.
because right when people.
I mean,
get
there's
off
no
school.
awful time to go, but it's the.
I train like 11 to 1, like around that time, and I would never train between 4 and 7 at my facility. It's just
Yeah.
packed, and everybody will. That's the crazy awesome thing about our place too. If you're hitting a big lift, the entire gym will stop and watch you. That does not happen at any other gym unless they're like they.
You're the main character.
If I go to a commercial gym, it would be absolutely. I remember I traveled one time and I was trying to find a powerlifting gym to get my training in, and I could not find one. I went to an LA Fitness.
Oh no.
And I think my working set at the time on deadlift was like 630 for 8, like 630 pounds for 8 reps. And I started and everyone at that place was like,
They thought you were maxing out.
yeah.
they're like, who?
and you hit it for 8.
And I was like, some dude came up to me like, man, we've never seen anybody do anything like that here. And I was like, I'm like the 12th strongest person at my gym back home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. So when Dave and I went to Stay Fit, there was guys there, and they would do 315 on incline bench, and like we would just stop.
No, yeah, they just rep it out for like 8, and it's like, what are you doing?
We would stop, like we wouldn't work out. I mean, like that's just like insane to me.
It's so fun to-
315 on
it's so
incline.
fun to
I'm
watch.
doing 95. I'm doing 95 on
At the
incline
time,
for
we were,
8.
yeah.
yeah, it's just a video of one of our guys, Adrian. He was Christina, like the 132 pounder was handing off for him. He did 407 for like 5 on bench, like just 407, just busted out 407 for a set of 5.
Yeah, that's so fun.
He's a little like 220 pounder too, like only like this tall.
Yeah, it's just like. It's just like
Or watching Sam, anytime the kid trains, especially squats, he's a terrible deadlifter.
Yeah.
I hope he listens to this too, because I'll rag him all day. The dude has a 700-pound squat and he can't even pull 600. So,
But like,
Wow.
there's different like
It's all
genetics,
quad
like,
strength, right?
well,
I
Because
heard
deadlift is just
it's
bad.
like if you have long arms though, that like in like a short torso, right?
Well,
Then you're like already a good deadlifter.
that's and a lot of times, I mean, that's why a lot of people are really, really impressed by how much I pull, because I'm not built for it. I'm all femur, and I'm 6'1", and most of like 5 feet of that's my femurs, and so it's like my ROM is like a day and a half, like from the floor to lockout. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And Sam's kind of the same way. He's built a lot like I am, and he's got a squat. His squat stance is very upright and short stance, shorter stance, and so or close stance, and so it just doesn't come natural for him. So I rip him all the time about his deadlift. He's competing with me in April. I'm bringing
Where's that at?
in South Padre Island, in Texas.
Texas. Okay.
So I'm bringing. This is one of the largest payout meets in powerlifting history. I think it's up to like $250,000 or something.
How much money do you have to put in?
I think registration was like $150 or something.
Oh, so it's
not
they're
awful.
getting like sponsorships and stuff.
Oh yeah,
Can
for sure.
anyone register? Is it?
Well, so that's what I was going to tell you. So when they announced this, I was like, I want to bring in a team of my athletes, like my 500 dots athletes, and so we waited on the clock when registration opened. It sold out in 62 minutes. So
How many spots?
I think it's 2 platforms, 120 lifters, sold out in an hour. And
That's crazy.
I'm going down with I have Christina, the 132 pound female. She's the only one I'm bringing. Sam's competing with me.
Okay.
I have a 165 pound kid, drug free, that deadlifts 700 pounds, 165 pounds.
Okay. Wow.
I'm bringing him with me. I have a 165 pound guy that's 33 years old that has almost an 1,800 pound total. And I'm
What's
bringing
your
him with.
total?
You really do just have. It's not even a community anymore. It's a whole team.
Yeah.
Like,
So I'm bringing these guys down, and then TD, he's competing in it as well.
wow.
It's like it's not a team. It's like a family. It feels like.
Yeah. And my athletes, so like the athletes that I actually coach, I try to not use that word team, because as much as it is fun to do this together, you're competing for yourself, right?
Yeah.
And so when you start to get that team mentality, then it seems like you're separating yourself from the rest of the pack. I don't ever want that. Like it's the East Race Muscle, like that's a team. Like I like to assume that if you're training at this facility, no matter what you're doing, if you're training to run a 5K and all you can do is bench 135 pounds, that's great. You're still representing East Race Muscle, right?
Yeah.
As far as my coaching goes, it's called the Manifest Iron. That's what I call my coaching. That is just you. That's you, especially with me having athletes all over the country. No one travels to see them. It's just me that goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
most of these people have never met in their lives. They all follow each other on Instagram, which is awesome. Like, it's so cool to see one of my athletes in like California, like liking one of the East Race Muscle athletes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I have athletes that are like really social media famous. I have a TikTok athlete that never competes.
What's his name?
Nathan Freehoff.
Okay.
He's it's like that guy Nate or something like that.
Huh.
We've
definitely wait. That's I know exactly who you're talking about. I remember he was in the military or something.
Yeah.
And TikTok kind of banned him or something. You
Yeah.
know? Dave, like this guy is.
I've seen
He's one of the most viewed.
Because we've seen a
TikTok.
lot.
It's
Our like we have a chips and chops.
He's my athlete.
That's incredible. I literally see that guy on my For You page all day. You know.
Yeah, no, because our chips and chops account is a lot of gym stuff, and so we've seen a lot of people.
Nate's been my athlete honestly for almost 2 years.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
I've seen that he's all over TikTok, right?
Yeah, I think at one point he was like the top 25 most viewed guys on TikTok. So
he films all his stuff at East Race.
No, he's not. I've never even met him in person. I've never been face to face with him.
Oh, he's just one of your athletes. Like you give him his program.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just from like seeing TikTok, he seems like an incredible guy. Like his story.
The guy's so funny.
Yeah, like he was anorexic and it's cool how he kind of talks about the mental health side. Like
it's wild because Nate trains for aesthetic. Like he just wants to look good. But the man, like I program him with a powerlifting split. Like he's built his body off of powerlifting and he doesn't powerlift. Like he's got a great pole.
Yeah,
he deadlifts. I mean, he'll be pushing a 700-pound deadlift here soon. But yeah, he's one of my athletes.
That's so cool.
That is incredible. Yeah.
I think. What were you gonna say?
No, you guys, we're good. I've had blast.
Okay, yeah.
This is so much fun. Can you tell the people where they can find you?
Yeah. So like my social media,
basically, yeah.
Yeah. So my Instagram is at the Baxter MC, and then follow East Race Muscle. It's just at East Race Muscle. We have an Instagram and a Facebook. We don't.
You gotta get a TikTok.
Yeah, dude.
Times are moving.
I'm too old for a TikTok. I wouldn't even know how to do it.
You get one of your people do it.
I have a hard time just creating reels on my lifts. I'm like, what is this? It's like, give me back my flip phone. No. So yeah, at the Baxter MC and then at East Race Muscle. If you guys are in the South Bend area, come check out the gym. Like I'll let you have a free day pass. Like come check it out. Come hang out with us. We got a cool lounge that everybody sits at and stuff. We have you guys would fit in great. I mean, we got a lot of, we got a lot of guys that are between like 17, 20 years old.
We got a lot of people that want to get into powerlifting. Like we know a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's no other place.
We're gonna have to send them your stuff. So.
I know deadlift is the big thing, especially with guys your age at this point right now too. And there's no other place in town that has more deadlift bars and kilos. So I mean, if you want to come in and do some TikTok content, do it at East Race Muscle. So December 10th and 11th, though, if you're not doing anything and you want to see a powerlifting meet where there's going to be some crazy things attempted, come in. Lifting starts at 9 both days.
We're gonna have to go. We're gonna have to go.
Yeah, it'll be packed, and then I mean we'll have food. There's vendors there and stuff like that. There's some of the biggest vendors. 110 will be there from the powerlifting community. And they'll be there. And when you guys see the stage that I'm gonna build, it's
gonna be cool.
I'm just excited.
It's gonna be insane.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Yes,
no.
It was a blast.
So much. This is like I'm kind of just blown away by this conversation.
Yeah,
right?
It was good. It was fun.
Yeah. So since you're still listening, check us out on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, everywhere. It's just Chips and Chops Podcast. All right, peace.